Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting commentary podcast. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Duke.
And, Duke, welcome back to the channel, man. It's been a really super long time.
Yes, back in 1985, when we just started this up as a young start, whatever. I mumbled that.
I had a YouTube channel before YouTube when I was 1 year old.
Mr. Captain Logan was a visionary, folks.
So today we are going to tackle the dreaded Green Lantern, which of course is precisely the movie that you want to put in and do a commentary on right after seeing the new Fantastic Four movie. And Duke has something that he has prepared, because this is a thing that we've been talking about doing since I think before Spawn here.
Definitely before Spawn, at least a year after the movie came out.
And finally, we're getting around to it. Even over the last, Duke, how long would you say, 4 or 5 months? We keep like almost getting to this.
This is the Ghostbusters 3 of Geekvolution videos. And if it was going to keep being delayed, you would have been listening to a commentary with Lo and Sarah. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry for being Bill Murray.
Which would make me Harold Ramis, except hopefully I don't die.
And hopefully not, like during this commentary.
I mean, that would be really notable if A, that happened, and B, you posted it anyway. Wow, Cap's a fascinating man. He posted a man's death online.
Wow, and there was foreshadowing.
No wonder Duke's not on. He was waiting for this moment. No.
All right.
I just want to say, and I have a bigger thing to go, but I miss doing videos a lot. I miss being here. I love being on Geekvolution. I love talking to you. I know people
thanks, man.
People have been concerned about me, wondering where I've been.
Yeah, he's alive. He's okay.
Someone thought Manos murdered me back in 2013. There was a lot of concerns. I'm here now.
When was the last time you were in a video?
Here?
Just at all.
At all, I try posting blogs and stuff like that, on camera. Okay. But I have a life and work and all that. So, but I have something very special for all of you. Many of you will remember. This was going back a few years back when we did Comic News, and we had a live show, and I opened up with a speech. I felt this was just as momentous of an occasion, and I will start now. Okay, feel free to edit in some triumphant music, Cap, if you feel so. Welcome all who listen here. This marks a big moment in Geekvolution's history. That's right, the return of Dustin James Amos Wallin IV to this very channel. Only part of that full name was made up. A return that has been long. I think 12 of you have waited, I'm guessing. I'm estimating. This is a big deal for me as well. I mean, I get to talk to my best friend, Commander Summers. No, wait, that's wrong. Lieutenant Xavier. That's right? Is that right? We'll go with that. I'll figure it out later. I'm here to have fun after waiting actual years to do this. Now, it's understandable for the delay on both parties. Instant Pride here had to deal with the following. Geeks Not Nerds recommend Superhero Rewind, Pride Time Crisis Live, The Quickening Part 2, The Resurrection. Raising 2 actual children, not returning my phone calls, dealing with copyright strikes, getting Eric out of that stupid vacuum cleaner, fistfighting Cthulhu, randomly making videos focused on plush toys. Seriously, what's the deal with that? Keeping Manos, Steve, and Dan from cursing on live broadcast, unless you contribute to Patreon. Wink! And working on Savage Dragon Solstice. No, I'm sorry. Spawn Year Biannual. Here's what I have done. I helped restore a 90-year-old movie theater with my bare hands and feed cats. I'll let that sink in. I was waiting for this moment to finally happen. Or to sadly see the day where I see a commentary for this movie with someone else like Dan, Manos, or Steve. All people that you, the listeners, would rather be listening to, I'm going to assume. But Steve would instantly say no, as he is a key player in the Make Duke Canon Again movement that we are starting tomorrow. Maybe. I have no idea. I need to see what his schedule is like. I am midway through this speech now, and I'm sure you're all asking many questions. When are you going to start the movie? Why are you even bothering with the movie? Is Duke as handsome as he sounds right now? Where's Waldo? Why is Jim Gordon Cyber Batman? When will Dr. Hank McCoy do a video on Doctor Who? That's you, by the way. What did we do? What did we do? When do we start? How much longer does the program need? What is the meeting like? 52. No, wait, 42. Misprint. Or maybe you've never asked any of those questions. I've been waiting for about 3 years to finally do this, and I'm cashing in. But before we finally get to this movie, I want to say this. This man held his promise for years. And he has apologized to me many, many times on this very subject. And I will say, you don't have to, sir. This is a fun place of conversation. I mean, yeah, I've been kind of bitter about how, like I said before, this has become the Ghostbusters 3 of your channel until now. But thank you for being a friend. P.S. Taste the rainbow.
Oh, Duke, that was wonderful. I'm gonna cry. That was beautiful.
I mean, you're gonna cry anyway. We're watching Green Lantern.
So I really enjoyed those references. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Ensign Pride.
Dude, yeah, no, that's Lieutenant Xavier to you.
No, you're Dr. Hank McCoy.
Oh, okay.
That one was really fun to put in as a final reference, by the way.
In my defense, when you've got like two kids running around, and I appreciate your putting in there
and fist fighting
that in there, and and trying to juggle the bazillions of projects that I'm working on here on the channel and all that kind of stuff.
Comments right now. Where's Crypto Freaks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks for bringing that back up. Yeah.
I forgot to add that in the speech. I'm not proud of that.
I'm working on figuring out what format that's going to come back with, but anyway, what I was going to say is, boy, it sure hasn't felt like 3 years to me.
Yeah, because I annoy the hell out of you all the time.
No, not at all.
I'm kidding. I'm
just saying that like time just flies and months go by and it feels like a week. And anyway, Duke, thanks for your patience and I'm glad you're here now. And let's go ahead and get into it. So everybody, if you're gonna watch the film with us, be sure, of course, to get your DVD, your Blu-ray out, however you're gonna watch it. Get it past all the menus, get it to timestamp 0. And if you want to listen to this without watching the DVD, which of course you've been doing for the last 8 minutes, you can listen to this just as a podcast while you're driving around or mowing your lawn or fighting Cthulhu. And
only you do that.
Oh, only I do that. Okay, well I could use some help every now and again.
No, I told you we're not helping you until you get Eric out of that vacuum.
Anyway, we will do our level best to provide some context to let you know what we're talking about as we are discussing Green Lantern. So obviously, the big reason that Duke asked to be on this in the first place all those years ago was because he is a massive Green Lantern fan.
I love my Hal Jordan.
And I would say, now, of course, my not knowing Green Lantern as well as a lot of other things, it's kind of hard for me to say this, but I would, from just what I know and what I've heard Duke talk about, I would put Duke up with Green Lantern as a Green Lantern expert, right up there with Shades with X-Men and Dan Torrey with Spider-Man.
Does that mean I have to be in a debate with Steve later? Because that man will tear me apart.
So anyway, that's the big reason that Duke is here talking with us about Green Lantern, and it'll be fun to see the insights Duke brings with him as we go through this movie and see what he liked about it, knowing the source material, and what still he thinks kind of falls apart and doesn't work. So we'll talk about it. Duke, are you ready?
No, I'm leaving.
Okay,
no, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let's jump right into it. Here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
Really black right now. Wait a minute, Warner Brothers made this?
Serious, somber tone.
Green colors.
Lots of green. Wait, so
Duke,
is
this a Green Arrow movie?
No, but you'd have every reason after all of the Arrow hype and everything, if you put this in, or if you just saw this on TV or something and you had no idea, you'd be like, oh, this must be a Green Arrow thing. It's Warner Brothers, DC. Oh,
This is worse than Arrow.
Who's this guy?
This is not that piece of wood, name Amel. I'm not a big fan of Arrow, by the way, people. I love Flash, though, but that's not technically important. You know what? This is a really bold film because we're looking at a germ. Oh, wait, that's a planet. That's a planet. Okay.
Who is giving this voiceover?
Black Lightning. Actually, I know, honestly, I think it's Tomar Ray because it sounds like Jeffrey Rush.
Oh, actually, it is Tomar Ray because it says that in the subtitles. I was referring to the actor.
Oh.
I don't know who that is.
You know what I like off the bat? That they use the logo from the comics. I'm grasping at straws, folks. Quit judging me.
Well, whenever you see that, it makes you think that maybe they'll be a little bit more faithful and that they're really excited about the material. And, obviously Daredevil has that.
Also, all films should begin with someone force-feeding you information. I believe the Doctor Who TV movie does this exact same thing. That is better than this, but still not good.
I'm always afraid we might be in trouble when you open with a voiceover like that. Now, it doesn't always turn out that way. That can work. And sometimes you can have a great movie despite the fact that we feel the need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Cap, try to think of a good movie that does this and it's still good. I can't think of one off the top of my head, though.
Oh, geez. Just right off the top of my head. Wow.
You when you're watching Star Wars.
Yourself,
because
yourself while you're reading the crawl. No, that's a good point. But I mean, like, that's more of like a catch you up to speed
because it's meant
with
to be
what's going on because it's supposed to be like a serial. Yeah. So that.
I always love the people who try to speculate what alien species they see in a movie. Like, are those the Quardians or whatever? I see people do that all the time.
In fact, I would go this far, Duke. I actually think that the voiceover at the beginning of this isn't terrible because it's just saying, here's what the Green Lantern Corps was and said. It's really more of the problem is that we get it at the end and it bookends it.
Yeah. Also, Clancy Brown is staring at us right now. That's one thing I found fascinating when I watched this. I didn't know Clancy Brown was in this. Cool. That's him doing the voice of Parallax.
See, the first time I heard that voiceover, I thought it was Anthony Hopkins.
Huh. Like, listening to it on somewhat silence, because I'm watching this off my computer right now, I don't get that, but...
And that's because you're not listening to it, Duke.
I know. I tend to burn the audio from movies and put on my MP3 player.
Is that what you do? Really?
Yes. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
But
you're like out jogging and you're just hearing this epic music with a lot of glass breaking.
Yes, and let's get to a big problem of what I have with this movie and what many people have, and that's they kind of went way too fast with using Parallax. They should have built him up over maybe at least 2 or 3 movies, do a trilogy and make him the big bad at the end. Because he's a big deal, especially in Johns' run, which they claim they took a lot from in this movie.
I think they took a lot of names of characters.
Yeah, they took things. This is that textbook example of, that sounds cool, put it in the movie.
And of course you're saying that knowing the material and knowing what that character is, I don't know that you couldn't have made what they did a lot more, compelling. But it still wouldn't have been Parallax.
I think my main thing is on scale. It would have been weird if Iron Man had him fighting the Chitauri at the end. I think you need to start him with something a bit. You could have made it Hammond like they do in Secret Origin.
Well, and that was one of the big points I made in my rewind was it should have been a more, to your point, it should have been a more small scale kind of story if you're gonna keep it on Earth.
Yeah.
And Hammond is the one thing that I latched onto and found really interesting about this movie. They don't go far enough with him.
Mm-hmm.
But of all the characters in the film, he's the one that feels most sympathetic and most like an actual person to me. And trying to compare him to Hal Jordan and like what each of their relationship with fear is could have been more interesting than it was. But we kind of just we kind of feel like we have to just go super giant in scope because it's a superhero movie and we have all this cosmic stuff, and you kind of gotta, I don't know, you almost gotta pick one.
Yeah. Also, I really don't know what to take this whole scene like, because first off, the bigger ship that Abed Sur is in, I wouldn't say this earlier, looks like a giant coffee crystal to me. And another thing, like I don't know, I'm gonna bounce all over because why bother be linear with this movie? Is I find some of the, like, let's look at Abed Sur right now. Why does he look like someone took the skin off of somebody? Like I appreciate detail like that sometimes, I do, but it's distracting to see, it looked like someone ripped his face off, and then the suit design, I mean, I like it better than the original concept art where it looked like they were all wearing moss.
So was this a project that you followed really closely in the
A
development?
bit. Like I looked at set photos here and there. Back when, and flashing back to comic news when I hosted it with Eric, my favorite ongoing gag was that he didn't believe this movie existed because all we kept ever seeing were people in motion capture suits.
Well, and because Warner's had a tendency to greenlight projects, related to DC superheroes, and then cancel them in mid production
Mm-hmm. It was hard to
well
believe.
mid pre production, starting production. Yeah, and it was just difficult to believe that something that wasn't Batman or Superman was, and something that wasn't like a Vertigo thing or whatever, was actually going to get made.
Yeah.
Because
Because it
I
seemed
mean,
like
to
we
be
were making
fair
a
to
lot of
Warner's,
Vertigo movies, weren't we?
well, to be fair to Warner's, they've made more comic book movies than anybody gives them credit for. They just don't make a lot of mainstream DC superheroes that aren't that aren't Batman or Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, we got V for Vendetta, we got why basically movies that the creator didn't want to get made.
Yeah, so now we're watching a scene of a bunch of guys talking to Bob Barker.
Standing in front of a thing that we're supposed to think is an experimental airplane, but looks a lot more like a big piece of CGI.
Yeah, it isn't interesting because the scene before it was a man almost dying in a car crash, wrapping a present in newspaper. Which, that was one of my favorite things. Like, I saw the best criticism right after this movie came out, and that was, who wraps a birthday present with newspaper? And I'm just like, well, clearly you've never been in a rush or had no money.
It's a personality quirk.
He's
It's
quirky,
Frank.
you guys. He's a slob. He's being yelled at by a piece of wood.
He eats jelly beans out of a cocktail glass. Oh wait.
You know what? I always when I watch Ghost Rider, I always forget that's there, and when I see it, I laugh so much.
It's funny because that's the one thing I always remember about it.
I don't know why. The thing I always remember is the bit with the girl who describes what Ghost Rider looks like. I'm sorry, we're not talking about that movie. That's
So Duke,
Eric's job.
how disappointed were you the first time you saw
I
this?
lied to myself.
Did you?
I was like, that movie wasn't bad at all. Me and Steve and John Johnsick will attest to that. We wanted to believe this movie was not bad, but I've learned I don't hate this movie. It's not a good movie, but I know people were like, "Oh God, this movie could cause cancer," but like I it's harmless to me.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you've got like offensively bad, and you've got so bad it's good, and this doesn't fall in either of those categories.
This is
This
just sort
is
of forgettable.
yeah, this is
The
dull.
big
This
deal fail.
yeah, this is dull as bricks,
Yeah,
and
which I'm
that's why
glad you
it's so
said that just as it
disappointing.
sent to a clip of Blake Lively. I don't
um,
really, except for maybe one bit in this movie, I could care less about her. But
she doesn't work at all for
Carol
me.
Fair. She's one of the things I love about Green Lantern and their relationship and how New 52 screwed it up.
Well, hey, at the very least, they're consistent with the fact that both of them are completely without any personality.
Yeah, and Reynolds could have made this work because he's Ryan Reynolds, but
Yeah, I'm not sure Ryan Reynolds is the problem. And of course, a lot of people, after seeing this, were like, see, look, Ryan Reynolds can act and he was wrong for this role. But you've got to look at what he's given to work with.
I don't think unless you gave it to the most charismatic person on the planet, I don't know if you could have saved this movie all that.
Well, and even then, I mean, yeah, you can't save a. I mean, once again, and I won't keep going back to this, but I mean, like, we saw this in the States, this commentary, but we saw this just this last weekend with Fantastic Four. All good actors. If you're not given enough to work with, what are you going to do? And I mean, like, I have not loved Hal Jordan. I have not. I haven't loved him either. I haven't loved Ryan Reynolds in a lot of the things that I've seen him in. But then he's given a couple performances that I've been really impressed with. And so yeah, he does some like really goofy, things that are supposed to be charming and that don't do anything for me and that I find kind of irritating.
Like something he'd say in any movie.
But I mean, my question is, what else would he do? You know what I mean? Like, I guess, you've got either, and how much of that is him and how much of that is in the script, and it's hard to tell. But like, I feel like with Ryan Reynolds, you're gonna get either that or you're gonna get just like a complete, like, nothing performance. Where he's just
don't
like,
you
totally...
see, Cap? They made him so lifeless and plain that you can insert yourself into the adventure.
Is that the idea? Okay, so I'm supposed to use my imagination.
Yes, Cap, you're supposed to make this movie better in your head, like what me, Steve, and John did.
Okay, well, the problem with that is that I don't need movies. See, I can just sit in my chair and close my eyes, and I've got a Green Lantern.
I want someone to type that quote out. I don't need movies, Captain Logan, 2015.
I don't. Yeah. Well, that's a little out of context, I think.
That's why I'm telling you all to do it right now. And make sure you tweet at Geekvolution when you do it.
I want to mention, we should get into some plot stuff as we're going along here, that I don't, and I'm going to say this a lot during this commentary, I don't understand what's going on in this scene. I mean, and this is a lot of the problem with this movie.
Can I say something here? Because there's one thing that bugs me about this movie, and it's because it's a big thing about Hal. And we're watching a scene right now with him flashing back to his dad. And his dad's a major motivator for him in life in the comics. And to a point where I feel like every other major story arc cuts back to that flashback. But I feel like one thing they could have focused on is Hal's family life, which we see for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I think, and it's weird because it feels like they think they're doing that.
Yeah,
but they're not.
The thing is, you're wondering how much of this movie is going, well, we're doing this right. I don't see anything wrong. Also,
by the way, all of this looks really awful.
Oh, no. Hal, close your eyes.
Yeah. And this kind of stuff takes you out, especially in, and again, I can deal with a great story with like shoddy special effects, but it's kind of interesting how very often when you have a movie that cost this much, if like the story's working and the actors are clicking and the directing is clicking and all of that, you tend to not have shoddy special. Funny how that works.
Well, but like, I don't have an engaging story. Well, here, I'll look at this painting.
Yeah, I don't know where the money went.
They all went to Mark Guggenheim's head polisher because he's bald, you see.
Oh, okay. But anyway, what I was going to say is, I don't understand why everybody is so angry with Hal for doing his job.
You broke that thing.
Yeah. Because the whole idea is, we're trying to prove that the plane can do the job that a human would usually do. Well, if you need to prove that point in order to keep the contract that you're trying to keep, then you should like communicate with Hal and tell him to not try so hard. I guess.
My other thing is, you know what? I want to quote Mythbusters in saying, "No failure is a bad failure." Like, okay, it didn't work. Build another one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but again, what they're saying is, oh no, we're going to lose the contract. I'm like, well, it seems like that's the fault of your technology, not of Hal. Like, if you're trying to manipulate the situation, then just tell him to not. And they're like, oh well, you can't. And the other thing is, they're like, oh well, you can't cheat. Like the plane isn't going to go higher than than the rules say that it's supposed to. Okay, well then I don't understand why any of this is a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you just say, okay, well, the plane's not going to do that.
And also, I feel like this scene only exists so we can get these two lovebirds together to stare blankly into each other's eyes and get paid.
Yeah, and to act like there's this, or to create this big rift between them, and say, hey, look, there's all this like sordid history and all this, even though I don't understand why they broke up. I don't know anything about their backstory. I don't know anything about their relationship. None of that stuff.
This is one of those things where, like, I feel like they make this movie going, well, all the comic book nerds will be fine because they know it. And that's bad. You shouldn't do that. Don't assume people know what's happening, especially when this is an untested product.
Yeah, Duke, I love that you said that, because my big disappointment with Green Lantern is I wanted so badly for this movie to explain to me why I'm supposed to like Green Lantern. Because I've never cared for the character, and
he's a tough character to really get, because
to sell, yeah. I mean, like
his concept's
my thing,
goofy. Sometimes it can be really abstract and hard to understand, and you also get scenes of guys just sending blue Skittles out to find people. I mean,
well, on the surface of it. On the surface, and I realize, because some people, if there are Green Lantern fans in the audience, some people are going to be like, well, you just don't understand the character. Admittedly, I've not read a lot of Green Lantern, because it's just not a thing that immediately appealed to me, when I was a kid or whatever. Mm-hmm. But whenever it would pop up and I would hear things about the mythology, it always felt a little bit kind of like ethereal and almost sappy to me.
I totally get that, and also. I
feel
like especially
all these,
because
yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something? I want to say something because you built me up as this big expert. I have not read every single Green Lantern thing ever, obviously, but I do read a lot of wikis and all that. But John's run, which was really significant, I think it was at its peak about this time when this movie came out. Like, Blackest Night had just gotten done. That was a big deal with Green Lantern, and I feel like immediately after this movie came out, and especially after John's left the book, Green Lantern kind of tanked to a point where I'm not reading it right now, which is heartbreaking, but it's not good.
I gotta ask you this question. Based on his previous films, his previous work history, what possessed Warner's to go with Martin Campbell to direct this?
I don't know. they walked out of the room and pointed at someone, and he happened to be it. I'd have no idea.
It doesn't look anything like his caliber of movies. I mean, like, this is the guy who made Goldeneye, mm-hmm. and Casino Royale, which is really interesting, by the way, that the same guy directed both of those movies. But
the only stylistic in this movie is so plain.
And it's just not. Yeah, yeah.
It feels like anybody could have made this movie in their sleep.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, looking at what little we've seen so far for Batman vs Superman, looking at just how stylistic that looks, and Man of Steel and stuff, whether or not you like that kind of more muted color palette, I feel like maybe they're getting a little bit away from that, but. My point is, that stuff is super stylistic, looks really comic book. Maybe we're kind of lucky that they didn't branch off from this, regardless of its failure, and try to create and try to hobble together a DC universe from it. Mm-hmm. Because because what I like about what DC's doing right now with their movies is they're trying to make something, and I like this too because it's so different from what Marvel's doing, that looks kind of timeless and outside of time. And this seems very much rooted in the year that it came out.
Mm-hmm. Also, can I say...
I'm not saying that you couldn't do that and it couldn't be great. Yeah. I'm just saying that people said, a lot of people said, oh, this is, DC just trying to do Iron Man. It's bizarre how much this has in common. Oh, look, this is called foreshadowing, Duke.
I wanted to say, I like this scene until the car bit. I like the car bit, talking to his nephew. But the thing is, I saw that car bit because I saw the trailer and notices he replicates this exact same thing.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, well, gee, I wonder why he did that. And I think it's also really funny because he's supposed to have this amazing imagination, and
he just remembers something his nephew had.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and honestly, that's like one of the most imaginative things he comes up with in the movie. And you're like, oh. Like you can't come up with stuff out of your own brain and past experience. You have to see a thing in the movie we're watching before you can recreate it.
Cap, how else would we have known he would create that?
Why do
you need to have a reason for everything in movies?
I would have cut that. Like I actually would have cut that out, and then if he suddenly creates a giant Hot Wheels track in the middle of everything in order to save those people in those cars, suddenly he looks like he has an imagination.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying that you're not imaginative if you're derivative at all. Of course, I'm not saying that, but it would seem like he uses his brain. But anyway, we'll get into the Sob and Sur stuff here in a second, but I want to go back to what I was talking about with the Marvel thing and say that it is uncanny the things that this, especially in what it did wrong, in what it had in common with Thor. It's just absolutely fascinating to me that they came out at the same year, and they both have a lot of the same complaints, especially like too much of it is set on Earth, and the fun stuff is in space or in the other dimension.
And Kat Denning ruined this movie. Wait. I mean, I guess there's a Kat Denning equivalent, but to be fair, Blake Lively doesn't say a bunch of witty one-liners, so.
So my big question here, of course, is, Hal Jordan, why are you trusting the dying alien?
I mean, we don't know. Maybe there was a scene they actually cut where he did some drugs. He's just going with it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, when he's like, when he's committing it to memory, he's like, okay, so you take the ring, and you put the lime in the coconut, and you drink it all.
And what I love is he's just like, okay, this is happening. Oh, great, now he's naked. I better take that out of there.
And you could say, well, he's this dying alien in this spaceship that crashed. Why would you necessarily be suspicious of him? And I can't help but think, well, why would I mean, like, how do you know how he got there? You don't know who he is. You don't know what he was out there doing. You don't know if this was some kind of a I mean, I don't want to say warship because it's kind of tiny, but you know what I mean, like.
Mm-hmm. And now here's his designated sidekick for the movie.
Yeah, who fills, his not at all funny comic relief role.
I mean,
just fine.
Cap. He's such a well-developed, memorable character. I mean, he's wearing glasses. Who else in this movie does that? But can I say there's a way to make this? I would have been perfectly okay with Hal doing this because, and they've done this in Green Lantern with various characters before, is the ring is telepathic. You can beam the info into his head.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Interesting way to get people to understand what's happening and to get Hal to understand what's happening.
Well, but here's what's stupid. They do both, and they make us stand around like watching him try to figure things out, and then all of a sudden, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And why didn't
they doubled back and realized we need to put that in there?
Yeah, and so all it really does is waste time with a thing that already feels like another one of these drawn out origin stories where we'd like to just get to the point and then tell a real story. And B, it just dumbs him down like crazy. Because here in a little bit we're gonna see him in his room with the ring.
I know,
and
right?
He can't follow simple two-step instructions. Abin Sur said, you put the ring on and then you touch it to the lantern. And then he's going to get really frustrated because he doesn't understand what touching a thing to another thing means, dude.
Cap, that takes like at least 2 years of college to figure that kind of thing out. And now let's watch this. the Guardians are so weirdly designed. I don't get why they have to have robes that are the same length as Shaq's pants, or the fact that we have to see their brains. Like, I'm so fascinated with when you with design choices in movies,
Yeah.
because there are things where it's like, why that didn't look like it in the book? What? Why? Are you afraid a giant blue-headed man in a freaking red robe wasn't alien looking enough?
Yeah, and this is one of those places where, because I'm not used to the source material, because I don't know the source material like you, and I've only seen Guardians, here and there, it didn't really occur to me that they were that different. I thought the super long robe thing was kind of an interesting idea. Well, I'm
How?
just saying, well, I mean, like, it's memorable in that you've had all this really bland stuff, and all of a sudden you see like this really strange design. Obviously, it's like it's a thing that's super theatrical, and they're like larger than life and above everyone, and
To a point where they're incredibly arrogant and
yeah, oh no, absolutely, and delusional.
oh yeah, and
And
I,
that's
I
a
want to
thing that
repeat
we could have
something.
really
I want to say
ran with and
something,
made
and this
really interesting.
can I say
But
something?
yeah,
I want to echo a point that Steve made in a video that won't air until November. Good job, Steve. But he pointed out that like he hates the Guardians, and they're kind of like in a cop movie where you're supposed to think the chief is a jerk. Like they're mostly there to be something for the hero to conflict with, but here they're just like, yeah, whatever. we you can see our brains. We don't care. Now go set up for a sequel that won't happen, Sinestro.
well, and it's another kind of communication problem, I think, and maybe I'm giving it too much credit when I say that. But of course, they're supposed to be like these, really wise characters that have this
Powerful
kind of like
characters. They
this
know
kind of like
everything.
yeah, and they've got this like kind of cosmic awareness, right? And if you did something with that where you talked more about how they've lost perspective and all of that, and like we sort of hit that a little bit in the third act when Hal shows up and has the really ridiculous human being shows up and knows what to do with everything. We just needed human condition because no other species
Understands that in their world.
has anything like that. Yeah, and
And yet
yeah,
they
and of
know
course
what
that was
swords are.
super sappy and ridiculous, but I mean, like, the idea that these guys are so out of it, and like super desperate and have created this problem, could have worked. It's just that it's too oversimplified.
Yeah. And now here's the thing. Can I say this bit of the movie, and this always bugged me, is if you watch this scene on TV one day, you're just like, I don't remember this being in Men in Black. Like especially the bit where like he just opens the door and Hammond gives this look like he did something far worse than be a scientist. And now he's in this weird room and they locked him in here presumably to turn him into Sandman.
You know the difference between Amanda Waller and Hector Hammond?
What?
She makes this look good.
Also, I believe this is the 98th incarnation of Amanda Waller on TV or
I
film.
know. Yeah. I can't believe. I keep wanting to make a video about that, dude. Just the sheer amount
The
of
top 10
I
Amanda Wallers.
when I when I was a kid, never thought that would be a character that would have been adapted this many times already. And of course, we're just about to get another one in
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, because let's see. Okay, she's gonna be in Suicide Squad. She's in Arrow. She's in Smallville. She's in this.
She's been in at least 3 or 4 direct-to-video DC movies,
I know she's been in
right?
Public Enemies. Was she in the Assault on Arkham?
Yeah, of course, because that was the Suicide Squad thing. She was in that, and she was in she's in Gods and Monsters that just came out.
I haven't seen that yet, and I hear good things.
She's the president in that.
Cool. That's all I have. Sorry. I'm
Really like
watching
that.
Peter Sarsgaard stare at a prop that they celebrated at Comic Con. And now we get to watch Ryan Reynolds try.
Now, something I've really got to give Warner's is they did a really good job marketing this thing for what it was.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we complain sometimes, and I'm hoping that they're kind of getting over this a little bit with Batman vs Superman. I have very high hopes for that. But Warner Brothers, we complained for the longest time that they didn't really have faith in these properties, and they were kind of scared of it, and they didn't know if they could make any money with it, so they were careful they just weren't really taking risks. But I mean, as not great as this is. They backed it like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't believe the merchandising. I mean, there are huge movies that make ridiculous bucks that don't have the kind of merchandising that this had behind it.
Oh yeah, this had toys, T-shirts.
Fox
they developed an animated series.
Fox doesn't merchandise X-Men anymore.
Yeah. Honestly,
and this had great.
You bring up that point. I'm almost amazed when I see merchandise for some stuff like.
Right.
I know this is an odd one to bring up, but the Transformers, I remember when the first 2 Transformers movies came out, we were inundated with tie-in comics and all that, and I feel like they quit doing that.
I mean, they still have toy lines, I think.
Yeah, but that's Transformers. I kind of like...
It's based on a toy made by Hasbro.
Obviously, that's a given, but we have something here where this is based on a comic, and, well, I don't know, Dark Knight Rises had some hilarious toys.
Oh, yeah. But this legitimately had a really good toy line.
Yeah, I don't buy toys, but I did see them, and I thought they looked cool. And I love the animated series, which
I still haven't watched that. I need to.
It's great. It sadly, because it was a long 26 episode series, it brings up some things. It was seeding things that it never got to. They set up Sinestro perfectly here. Also, Hector Hammond.
Now, hold on, Duke. I have to say this because this is a thing I actually like, and whenever there's a thing I like, I feel the need to jump in and say, "Look, I like a thing." I like paralleling Hector and Hal here, where they're both kind of getting their powers, and one's turning into sort of a Yellow Lantern. I really like that idea.
They're both being baptized into space.
I like the idea of having them both being chosen kind of at the same time, and it's not too contrived that it happens the way it does. I'm surprised that I'm not bothered by the simultaneousness of it.
Yeah.
And again, they don't go far enough with that because they end up kind of just making Hector Hammond mind controlled by the end, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, they could have just made this they could have made this a story where you see 2 men get something very similar. Basically, a gift from beyond the cosmos, and you can see how one man can triumph with it and another man, falls down from it. They could have done that, but they really don't. At least this movie believes it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, and you make it about choices that they make, and that they're given this power and they get to decide what to do with it, regardless of
Hal doesn't have his father and Hammond does. There were ingredients to make a great cake here, but instead they made something you throw out.
Well, see, that's exactly where I was going with that. Yeah, is that regardless of where the powers came from in the first place, why they had it, fear versus will, whatever. There is kind of a case made a little bit later that each of them is supposed to kind of have the ability to choose, except that breaks down when Hector is suddenly just mind controlled by Parallax.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, make it about family, make it about what these what their fathers have done to them, and who they are now because of that.
Yeah. But that's not here at all, so now we're here to watch another boring scene of these two, who are a couple in real life and yet have no chemistry in this movie.
I didn't know that. That is bizarre, because they look like they just met.
They look like they just met. They look like...
Oh, God, I did not know that.
Oh, yeah, I think they're having a child.
Changes my entire... Wow. Well, and you said boring... It's not just boring. This starts to get really awkward when they do the whole dance thing here in a second. I just can't even.
I find that hilarious, but you're not wrong.
Well, I mean, why is it that we constantly like to laugh at and dog at and be totally baffled by the egg scene from Spider-Man 3, but no one brings this up?
I mean, come on, Cap. That scene ruined movies.
Did it? Did it ruin all movies?
According to everybody, yes.
I don't know. It's just when he starts
humming. The internet told me this, Cap. Don't telling me it's wrong.
Once again, this is supposed to be charming, and he's kind of You know,
and you want to root for him, but again, I barely remember what she's like in this movie. And she's just plain generic, I'm going to be mean to you. But people will hopefully think it's cute. We don't.
Now, obviously he had, cute's the operative. Now, obviously he hasn't put on the suit yet, but having watched this a couple times, for whatever reason, because I have to see him so often with a domino mask that is CGI'd on and looks like it's not even really on his face, there are scenes with no CGI in them whatsoever where, for whatever reason, I can't help but feel like I'm looking at Ryan Reynolds' face CG.
Like they got a stunt guy there and they awkwardly put his head on.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but at some point I start thinking like Ryan Reynolds' face is
interacting with them. He's in another world. Also, this is a stupid detail. This is a stupid detail to pick up, but it's me and it's this movie. But I appreciate that there's an old NFL blitz machine in this bar.
You know, a lot of bars still have those.
A lot of bars and bowling alleys.
Yeah, no, I see those a lot.
Yeah. So this is a realistic scene now because we pointed that out.
Okay, no, Hal, don't walk away. I want to know the answer to her question too. What did happen in that scene with the plane? Because I still don't understand it.
No, Ryan, come back. I haven't read the script. Dang.
Please, what happened?
And now we have upcoming. No, wait, let me redo this opening again. And now, pointless scene to show off special effects theater.
Pretty much, you know, when I was working on this for Rewind, I ended up watching this movie through a couple times because it's so bad at communicating things that like I felt the need to go back and look at it again. And this is a thing, admittedly, I just missed. But the first time I saw this, working on that, I was like, I don't know why these guys are even hitting him right now.
But then they do say I'm reading subtitles because they lost their jobs.
They lost their jobs.
Still, it's just like, really? Like again, this scene just feels so manufactured to do a full effect shot.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's contrived, and the reason that I miss things like that in a movie like this, I think, is because I'm so not invested.
Yeah.
That I don't pick up on stuff like that. I mean, like when it's a chore where you almost feel like you have to like write things down, like you're taking notes, like you're doing research just to keep up with it because. When you're invested in a character and you really care about him, that stuff comes naturally.
Movies shouldn't feel like homework.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, I feel like that's your entire reason of being, my friend. But
because I've turned movies into homework.
Yes, but again, a good movie doesn't have to be homework. You can make it homework if you want to.
You know, it's funny. That you mentioned that because the first thing that came to mind was I'm the guy that recently did a full half-hour analysis on Masters of the Universe, and isn't it interesting that that was the movie I did right after this or a couple after this, and there's actually a Masters of the Universe reference in this that I had forgotten about until we saw it earlier when he says Power of Grayskull.
Yeah, I did see that.
Forgot all about that.
Great, now I get to watch this. Which doesn't seem like a scene in a Green Lantern movie, but rather a scene in a sleep aid commercial. Are you tossing and turning at night? Are you sweating while sleeping? Do you believe an alien is telling you to destroy a man named the Green Lantern? Well, try Nexitol. Side effects may include growing a giant head.
Like we can use Hector Hammond to sell Tempur-Pedic beds.
Oh, God, I shouldn't have said no to that movie. I mean, drink that alcohol.
You're having a big head day. The guy playing Hector Hammond was very aptly cast. I think he's great.
Oh, yeah, he does what... He has a ball when he can chew up the scenery. He has the prosthetic on.
Yeah, he's really enjoying it. It's hard not to genuinely enjoy at least his performance.
Yeah.
When he... when you get that scene where they're standing off against each other. Another big thing that, of course, takes me out of this movie real hard, that I'm surprised we haven't really talked about yet, we've alluded to special effects and CG stuff, is just that so much of this is animated and then a person feels like they're just slapped right in the middle of it.
It's like watching Space Jam. Made by Warner Brothers.
But Space Jam did that on purpose.
I mean, technically,
And
this movie did it on purpose. Oh dear God, this is an awkward shot.
Not in the same sort of way, though. I mean, like,
I'm kidding,
this is
but
a movie
still.
this is a movie that purports to be live action, and I'm not always agreeing.
I have that same problem with Avatar.
Oh yeah, I had that too. Well, I don't want to get into Avatar, but yeah,
Good, shock Ryan Reynolds, shock him.
Just so much, and obviously not right here necessarily, but just so much really awful blue screen all the way through this.
We're watching a man just being told, scream and pretend you're being shocked.
And Duke, you know why I say blue screen?
Why?
Because all these people are wearing green suits, so it had to have been. Unless they're not actually wearing green suits because it's all CGI'd on top of them, later on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here it comes. Uh-huh. They're treating this like a great special effects shot, and
this is
Cap,
this is the most eye-opening thing in the history of movies.
No, you're only saying that because he's opening his eyes right now.
You see my secret.
Okay, so does it just look like a piece of fruit by the foot thrown on his face? Is that?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Does it kind of look like? And again, I don't want to belabor that and beat a dead horse. Once again, if we had a great script and we just had this weird misstep with the special effects, who cares?
Yeah.
But I tend to notice it a lot when the whole package isn't working. That stuff stands out a lot more for me.
Yeah. And also, he's looking in the mirror right now. He can't believe he's in this movie either. I'm sorry. I for those of you who, oh dear God, I forgot this bit where he's just acting like a kid in the mirror, and Tomar Ray's just staring at him. I like that scene because I would do that if I saw an idiot walking around.
Duke, did you ever read Animorphs books?
I watched the Animorphs show.
Okay, Tomar looks a little bit like a tiny Hork-Bajir with a fin on the top of his head.
He does. I mean, I don't... Can I say something that's weird? Every like other media adaptation that puts Green Lantern in, for some reason loves using Tomar Ray, and I don't understand why. Beyond, that's crazy, he looks like a sea chicken.
He is a sea chicken. So, I mean, is that a character that pops up a lot in the comics?
He's been dead for, like, decades.
Oh, okay.
Like his son, I think, is around. He's usually just sort of a background character. I mean, Kilowog's a memorable cast member who's barely in this movie, too.
Which is ironic, because besides Tomar, everyone else is a background character in this.
Exactly. Like Tomar Ray. If anything, this is still more dialogue than Tomar Ray ever gets in anything.
Yeah, yes, Hal, Guardians, the movie that in a couple of years will do what your movie sort of kind of should have done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And heck, we could put a talking rodent on our movie, but we didn't. They did. They could. There is a Green Lantern squirrel name.
We could have had. Yeah, I know. Well, we could have had a talking planet.
We could have had an angry cat.
Oh, I love the angry cat.
I love Dexter.
Well, see, here's what I really want. I really want eventually when they get to Green Lantern Corps, and slowly but surely I'm starting to buy that all the movies they're saying they're going to make, they'll probably end up making. Yeah. Unless we have some kind of like bubble burst with the superhero movie thing, and I don't think it'll happen by then if it happens at all. But anyway, I want to see Atrocitus.
Oh yeah,
I really do.
Also, this is going to be an odd reference, but this scene reminds me of the deleted ending from Highlander 2, where Connor's just like randomly flying and he's like, "Come with me to space," and they fly off. That's how good this movie is, people. It reminds me of a deleted scene from Highlander 2.
So, I mean, at least Hal Jordan is like, finding some joy in this. And,
this is another small... I like the bit here, and I also love the flying bit in Man of Steel. I don't know why, but I just think those scenes are great of them, like, flying, and you get the excitement of it. Though I think Man of Steel does it slightly better. No, I'll take that back. I think Man of Steel does it way better than this.
Well, and of course, Man of Steel could have used some more moments like that, I think. Yeah.
Instead, we didn't have that. Also, can I say something that's always confused me about this movie, and I've never been able to get a clear answer? How far along in the production was it when they
Oh
got?
God, it looks like just a dude's floating head with
Yeah,
like. Anyway,
yeah.
sorry, go
I
on.
was wondering how far along in the production when they decided let's get Rush and later Duncan to be in this movie because they were announced a few months before the movie came out, which is weird
Michael
because
Clark
Mark
Duncan.
Strong was announced really early on.
I mean, I thought Duncan was going in and putting his dialogue in like a few weeks before the movie was
That's what I'm
released.
wondering because they were announced a good couple months before the. I remember I was being kind of confused by that when Comic News when we were reporting it, and I'm still wondering like they're like we'll do it in post, which isn't necessarily a rarer thing, I guess, but I don't know. It's just
Well,
so.
you just gotta wonder why they waited that. I mean, like maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just
And
it's
also,
voiceover, so like
I'm
anyone
also
can do
so
this. But
confused by like why cast name actors in such a small role unless like maybe a bunch of things got cut. I have no idea, but I always find that
it
weird.
does feel like a strange afterthought thing. I mean, so often you design characters somewhat based on like the facial structure and stuff of the person who's voicing them, and it feels sort of like they kind of maybe did that with Duncan, but then how could they have?
It's a great mystery that we'll never
I'm
get.
just not. Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm
Well, it's really
glad Michael
strange.
Clark Duncan got another comic book role under his belt. I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, and of course, he was a really good choice to do
Oh yeah, he
that.
was a perfect choice.
They also threw that character way under the bus,
Mm.
and
To do
uh,
another thing that Hal would have probably only done if he saw it earlier.
yeah, and that made me think. Well, if he can, I guess I'm making points I've made in my rewind already,
Eh,
but
who cares?
what I mean, that they're my points. They're what
They're
or
my
how I
points,
feel about the
man. You
movie.
gotta
They're
respect
my
the points.
points. My points. No, um, he has this strategy, and then you're like, well, why didn't he ever think to do that to parallel? Like
Why? You know what? I wouldn't blame him if he just did that to everybody he fought.
I also don't know why we didn't, you know, I don't know. They've got this very, very large army, and they're just not really trying that hard. I mean, they send like 12 lanterns up against Parallax here in a minute, and they all get disintegrated. So I guess the idea is, well, we can't send everybody after it because we'll all get killed. But like,
Can I say something real quick?
yeah,
I
yeah.
love how Tomare is amazing Hal by showing him something that you usually see in your screensaver. Sorry, I just had the point.
No, that's totally
And
that's
again,
totally
this
cool.
is I remember people thinking I don't think his head looks that awkwardly bad. This scene in particular is one of those times where I'm like, no, it looked really bad. This suit just
There
also what
has
is he trying to make here?
Yeah, a bunch of other rings. See, look how much
How
imagination
how
he
now is
had.
not the time to
Just,
tell us you like Sonic the Hedgehog. Knock it off.
I feel like never in history has there been a character put on film, Duke, that was more appropriate to manufacture a bobblehead based on.
And that's saying something considering we have a giant pig man staring at us right now.
Yeah, and I don't know. This is just like really typical. And
I mean, here's the thing
oh,
they've
oh,
done. I swear to
you think
you.
the human
Can I say
smells
something
funk?
though?
Yeah, yeah.
I swear to you, every time they do Hal's origin, they make sure this scene's in here,
Oh, I'm sure.
and they're usually done a lot better. Again, I remember a quote, and I still hold on to because I have no reason to believe it beyond a few bits like this one, that they looked at Green Lantern Secret Origin, which was in Jeff Johns' run, as sort of a bible to this movie. And again, this scene's in it, but at the same time, this scene's in every retelling of the origin because you do want to see him learn. And it's kind of slow moving, so I don't know. This should be more exciting. I mean, a
Well,
pig man
it's
is
funny you say
throwing
slow
metal
moving though
disc at a
because
guy right now. How is this not exciting?
yeah, but it's because this character is completely generic. That's why.
We could put anybody in this movie.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the
Also,
problem, of course, is that you're talking about a movie that is all about a guy who's supposed to have like, you know, obviously like immense amounts of willpower and be a super creative person, and how he is that one of the most generic characters in superhero films.
Yeah. Also, this is a stupid nitpick, but I don't think the rings have the ability to create an actual sun. They're powerful tools.
That doesn't make
I
any
don't think
sense
they're
to me.
that powerful. Also, we just watched our main character kick a man in the groin.
Plus, wouldn't it be a green sun?
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
I mean,
But no,
the
you
closest
said
I've
that
seen
was.
to that is like there are some like stories with Superman and Green Lantern where he he tricks Superman into thinking that he has kryptonite because green, but they can't. They're not that good at recreating things.
You said this was kind of slow moving, and it is in the sense that that's just not really
Maybe if you put
fun to
Iron
watch, I
Tiger
guess.
in it, my opinions would be gone.
But what I was gonna say is, but then what's funny about it is that it's just so super truncated. Kilowog's brought in to train him for like 6 seconds, and it's not even like a montage. We
Like
see
a cutscene
every
in a
moment
video game.
he spins with him. We yeah, and also in the way that it's animated. but but then Sinestro shows up, and he's the one that ends up really training him, but then also not for any amount of time at all. And the worst line in the entire movie is when you get to the end and Kilowog says, "Can I train him or can't I train him?"
Did you train him? I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, no, he did because he gave him that one line of dialogue that made him come up with.
That's another thing I went to a point I said earlier is unless you know Kilowog really well from the comics, you won't get why that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't.
Exactly. Now they're reenacting a scene from Revenge of the Sith. I don't know if that's a better movie than this, but it's a movie, all right.
Oh,
Also, he's now Ash from Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Which would have been great if Bruce Campbell was here. Wouldn't Bruce Campbell be great?
Bruce Campbell would make a great Green Lantern.
Bruce Campbell would make a great everything.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
Okay, so explain this to me, Duke. I don't understand how the ring would allow you to create a thing that shoots projectiles.
That's one of those things that's always kind of confused me too. But here's the thing, like I'm okay if you just for some reason create a laser gun to make it shoot a laser. Yeah, that seems really fortuitous and kind of dumb when you can just shoot a laser out of the ring, but screw it, you're already imagining it. That is one of those odd details though, but I accept it because why not?
Because, like, if you create a sword or whatever, and you have to be holding onto the sword, because, like, if you let go, it's just not there anymore or whatever, then how could you shoot a thing from a thing?
It's kind of... Here's the thing. Green Lantern suffers like so many characters in fiction do, where, after being around for decades, power sets are kind of hard to determine, so you're just sort of going to have to make up your own, or you're not going to have everyone agree.
Well, and because you've also got a lot of, like, well, it came from an era where we didn't feel the need to really make it make sense.
Mm-hmm. Like
and now
a major thing that went into
we're still using it in an era with particular modern sensibilities, and we haven't
think about these things now.
Right, yeah.
I mean, let's flash back when they came up with this in the 40s with Alan Scott. Literally, the intent was I want a character who basically had like Aladdin's magic lamp that could make any wished for. It was simple. It still is simple, and you don't have to, like, for example, I don't think radiating a spider would create superpowers. Like, it's comic books kind of suffer through that for better or worse now. Some things you just need to go along with for the ride. And again, if this was a good story, would we be questioning it that much?
No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that you just see that kind of stuff as a conceit, and you kind of run with it.
Yeah, you need something to talk about.
When that is the meat of the thing.
Okay, man, let's go fly out to danger.
You want things to be as consistent as you can possibly make them, but yeah, when you're talking about pseudoscience, yeah, you just make it as consistent as you can within the rules of the universe you're creating. And when really good movies have those kind of minor mistakes, a lot of the time it kind of just adds to the charm of it. Where like you lovingly poke at it.
Oh yeah.
But this is a thing that I'm not doing that with because I'm just once again not really invested in these characters. One thing I don't...
And hopefully, Cap, you won't turn into a big-hated alien man at the end of
it. Yeah, hopefully I don't get any bigger of a head than I already have.
That means I'm Hal, and that means I have to go stare at my sister's playset and able to defeat you, and it's going to be weird.
One thing I have to give this movie credit for is at least attempting with the comic book stuff to go kind of straight off the page.
Mhm.
I do appreciate the fact that we're not trying to find a way to contemporize this to the. I mean, you have to contemporize to a point, but the idea of we have to be really darker or more serious or whatever in trying to make like a grounded version of a Green Lantern, because what even would that be? They took they took this mythology and they simplified it to a point of absurdity where I can't really follow a lot of it, and I feel like there wasn't enough thought put into it, and it feels like a concept that obviously it's been around in decades for the comics, but we're not really looking at it closely enough, so that's really problematic. And you also have some atonal problems in that the stuff with Hector Hammond, is supposed to be kind of dark, but it's not really fitting with the rest of it, and we ought to have been able to make that balance work. I don't think it's a problem that he's super creepy.
Mm-hmm. Also,
it's just that
I
we
hate
never
to break
found
this
that
to Hammond.
balance.
I hate to break this to Hammond,
Yeah.
but it looks like his blood is turning into Cheetos.
He should probably do something about that.
His blood is getting too cheesy. He needs to consult a doctor, preferably Dr. Chester, MD. Sorry, I'm dumb.
But when we no, that was hilarious. When we see Hector Hammond interacting directly with his father and seeing exactly where his fears are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or at least sort of. I think that's somewhat confused and muddled too. And it's been a couple months since I watched this, but
I watched this about a month ago because I figured I should be a little bit more refreshed. And when I watched it, I was under the intent that we were going to watch it in 2 days.
It seems. Well, yeah. Sorry. It seems like more. Here's the deal, and maybe these things certainly can go hand in hand, but it seems more like an insecurity thing before it's a fear thing.
Yeah. Do you want me to add to that, or?
But no, I'm just. But I guess my whole point is, how do we have these characters, directly interacting so that we're actually, what do you call it? Oh, developing Hector Hammond as a character,
as a
learning
person,
something about him,
as someone you feel sympathy for despite his actions.
Yeah, and then we go back to Hal Jordan, and we didn't get that with his dad, but his dad's supposed to be super important to who he is now, and his motivations for, I guess, becoming a pilot and all of that. I still don't understand what in the world he's supposed to be afraid of.
He's afraid of commitment. I have no idea either.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's what it's supposed to be, but it's so vague.
Like, again, in the comics, it's simple. He's afraid to step up. He's afraid to. In a way, he's afraid to. Oh, and also we have this. Yeah, I remember another big comment about Parallax, and I remember trying to deny it back then, but I can't deny it now. He does look like a poop monster. There's no way around it. He looks like poop.
I'm so numb to giant monster designs. I don't care.
I remember my opinion was I didn't think he looked like poop. I remember thinking he looks like the smoke cloud from Lost if he was possessed by a demon. Is that
the smoke monster actually had a face? Well, and I think that's hilarious too, because the smoke monster actually was a person that could turn into smoke.
Lost. I only know it by osmosis because my sister's been binge watching it lately. And now we have another one of those patented, "You're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wronger." which is basically Sinestro's relationship with the Guardians, but again, there's at least some compelling things in other sources. Here, it's just what I told you.
Yeah. So has Sinestro manipulated the Guardians? And this isn't here, but I always wondered if it was if this was like what they thought they were going for at some point. Was Sinestro trying to manipulate the Guardians in order to get them to make the Yellow Ring, or does he just kind of get lucky that they come up with that?
His drive is simply, you need to be more forceful, and the Guardians don't believe in that, and that forced him to leave and go on his own path and become evil from time to time. He's weird because he sometimes they make him an anti-hero a lot, and other times he's just straight up bad guy. I it's odd, and it's sometimes
But that seems weird because they're almost impulsive here.
yeah, it's I don't know. The
You
thing
know,
about the
he's like,
Guardians is there are times where it's just we need them to be a jerk. We need them to be jerks. That's usually their intent. There's better ways to go about it. Also, making us look at still frames because
oh
when it's
yeah.
animated, it's just a still frame.
Well, and I like the idea, of course, of having these really almost infinitely powerful beings who are morally ambiguous.
They're like the
Because
Watchers
if you're
from
that,
Marvel. If they weren't
yeah,
interesting. Sometimes.
yeah, well, or if they were actually allowed to interfere and do things, yeah.
Hey, I know this guy. He sang the theme song in Birdemic. I mean, that would make
That's a
this movie
weird
far better.
thing.
Also, I can't believe Paul Bettany's in this movie because it said Vision in the background.
That's a weird thing that a whole lot of superhero movies have in common for some reason. A big action set piece that is set up by a party where somebody is singing on a
They're
stage,
almost as
usually,
common as boardroom scenes.
right?
I mean,
I
I'm
mean, like,
still waiting to this day for you or Manos to make the top 10 boardroom scenes in comics.
we're comparing this to Iron Man a lot, but this scene seems sort of out of Spider-Man to me.
Yeah. Also, I take back what I said. This guy doesn't look like Bob Barker. He looks like Joe Biden.
Or a much thinner Donald Trump.
No, his hair looks too real.
Oh, okay.
You gotta be careful with these references, my friend.
Duke, you bring a completely different sort of flavor
I bring
to
nonsense.
the channel. Yeah,
This is
you
why
have
you
a.
need me here more, Cap.
That's not. I was not gonna say nonsense.
You wanted to, though. Anyway,
Wow.
speaking of nonsense,
Wow, Hal, you are really classy, but like that was smooth. He walks up and goes, "Nice," and
I do that all the
"Yeah,
time.
here's information about this airplane," and then, no, I'm talking about the dress. Hal, that does not even begin to compare to your like what he thinks he's doing is that standard romance scene where he's like, where somebody's like, it's beautiful. I was referring to, like, looking at the stars or something. I'm referring to you.
This is
This
another one of
movie's
those
not.
scenes that feels like, well, it's done in other movies, so let's do it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let's not,
So
make it
stereotypical.
our own. Just it's a cookie cutter scene. So
Oh,
many scenes
absolutely.
in this
Well,
movie are cookie cutter. Also, who
it's a
drinks a
cookie cutter
martini like
plot.
that?
Scary people
Or
with big
seals.
heads who, for some reason, don't feel the need to use their opposable
That's how
thumbs.
evil he is, Cap. He doesn't play by our rules,
He's that evil.
by our common drinking rules.
He's a rebel. See, he has been under the thumb of his father
Who
for
forced
too
him to
long,
pick
Duke.
up his glass for years?
And it's time now to oppose that thumb.
That would be that would be great if they flash back to a scene of him trying to drink milk like that, and his dad being really mad.
It's hilarious. And when he grows up, he's like, I'm gonna drink anyway. Well, please.
I
He's
always
like,
have to
this
have
is
my
how
pinky out when I drink. Not
my
today.
my father never understood me, but intellectual people drink without arms.
See, this is one thing I love when I talk to people like you, Cap, is we make movies far more interesting.
Well, you've got to, with a movie like this, Duke, you gotta bring your own fun.
You, but Cap, you don't need movies.
I don't need movies. There's an episode of TNG called Remember Me where
That episode.
Doctor where did you remember that episode?
I do.
Where
It's one I
Doctor
remember as a kid and thinking this
where
twist is weird.
where Dr. Crusher is in this universe that's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until she gets to the point where only she and Captain Picard are on the ship, and Picard claims that they've been flying around the galaxy, just the two of them, this entire time.
Yes.
And Picard, and she said, "Where's the crew?" And Picard said, "We've never needed a crew before."
What I love SF Debris' take on that, where it could have easily been Picard going, "Yes, yes, we're all alone on the ship. Computer music."
Hey, Duke, are you sure we're not watching an episode of Arrow? Because I'm seeing the Ferris logo, I think, about as often as I do in that show.
No, that's impossible, Cap, because I'm not hating myself right now.
Oh, come on. This isn't as... This is definitely worse than much of Arrow.
I don't like Arrow at all, so you're gonna have to really sell that to me, my friend.
I know you don't. I love a lot of things about the first couple seasons, but
I have a basic rule about all things. If your title character is the most unlikable thing I'm seeing, I don't care about your show.
Well, that's fair. I mean, but we're not here to talk about Arrow. I was simply making a joke.
Most of us on this channel don't want to anymore, so regardless of it coming back. You're welcome, Constantine fans. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to sell this, and I don't know if I can. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is thrilling.
No. Keep trying.
Not so much. See, Duke, you know you're in trouble, and I've seen this on a lot of movies, and it always cracks me up when the biggest selling point that was said in a review that somebody could find to put on the front of the box is action packed.
Oh yeah, that is. Actually, I have the box right in front of me.
It says action packed.
Ryan Reynolds is the perfect Green Arrow. Roasted or Drake, San Francisco Examiner.
The perfect Green Arrow.
Rossiter or Drake of the San Francisco Examiner said these words.
You said Green Arrow.
Sorry.
It was hilarious.
I mean, he's not wrong in either regard.
That guy doesn't even know what he's watching.
It's Green
By the way, what?
You people need to understand something very important about me. I'm not that bright. And I slip up a lot, and I mostly look good because I hang out with smart people.
So what you're saying is that you're superhero dyslexic?
Well, actually, I technically have Asperger's, but still, yes.
Green Arrow. So like you look at Green Lantern and you might say Green Arrow, or you might say.
I used to have this awful habit that made less sense, where I always confused Jason Todd with Jason Blood.
By the way, what is it about the color green and superheroes?
It's really eye-catching and prints easier.
I guess that's.
I mean, look at the Hulk. He was supposed to be gray, but a printing error made him green.
So you're saying I shouldn't try to read too much into that, like
no, because why bother reading into anything related to this?
Nothing about like envy or like.
Also, I'm looking at another quote. The quote on the front of the box just says "Action Packed" by Trey Alexander of Fandango.com.
Fandango.com. Wait, they have reviews there? Oh.
Yeah, I'm like, they review movies? I thought they just forced me to buy from their crappy website.
Wow. That's even worse. Yeah, because that's a name folks trust. All right.
You know what, Cap? Because I'm bored and I'm looking at the box still. You know who edited this movie according to the back?
Oh, I used to know that.
Stuart Baird.
Yeah, Stuart Baird.
So that Star Trek talk made sense. Quit looking at me. Sorry, Parallax.
To be fair. Stuart Baird is just a terrible director, but
he was very good at editing. I just noticed that. I know him by name, so.
He did he did Richard Donner's Superman. I mean, he's I think.
I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up right
now.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna look back at this later, but I could have sworn one of the things on Hammond's table was a copy of Pokemon Sapphire version.
I think that's unlikely.
I could have sworn I saw that, but I may be going insane. Also,
dude, I just feel like we're not both going to be able to roll back at the same time.
No, we can't do that. Someone do that for me later. I'm not going to do it. Well, maybe I will. I am drinking your drink of choice right now, Cap. Mountain Dew.
Oh wow, cool.
Because I need to get Savage Dragon Solstice started before Eric gets mad at me.
So that is so this guy is Green Lantern's pal, I guess.
Yeah, which technically in the early days he kind of had a sidekick named Magpie, who was slightly a racist caricature, but this isn't him remotely. But And
Okay.
like John's kind of brought him up early on, but they haven't used him in decades.
You know, you're right. His only personality trait is that he wears glasses. Because Hal Jordan's like, hold on to your glasses.
And
It's
also,
like,
I want
pointing out the
everyone
thing.
listening at home. I want you to pay attention to this scene because to this day, me and Steve say this line to each other ad nauseum all the damn time, and that is coming up. Give it a minute. Come on. This is cinematic gold here. Come on.
Somebody hand this man some jelly beans.
Hand him some jelly beans right now. Make him pee fire in the sequel. Come on. I forgot how awkwardly long this scene was.
This reminds me slightly of that scene in The Mask where he's trying to put on the mask during the day.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Only, that
The
movie's
masks we wear.
I know, right? Again, we still say that to each other all the time.
And of course, that was in the trailer.
That was in the trailer. Everyone, that was the most quotable line of the movie. I know, right?
Which is crazy because that's just a thing people say now. I mean,
that's just the thing we've been saying for years beforehand and still say it.
Yeah.
Not because this movie changed the world, but because that's a basic line you put in to pad out a script.
I don't like it, but Vince did a whole rant once about I know, right?
That's why he's the best person alive. Because he does. Then again, I made a whole video ranting about Doomsday once. Because about the fact that every time we used him past def as Superman, he was a punching bag.
Oh, yeah.
A valid point, but I still feel like dedicating 10 minutes was stupid.
Sometimes we'll create entire armies of them, and we can take them out like multiple Santa in The Tick.
Yeah. It's always great when you take a thing that killed a major icon and turn him into a stormtrooper.
This is another one of those weird, comic book logic inconsistency things where, a domino mask is supposed to hide your identity, but then, she's able to see through it, but then people don't in other places, and it's just, it's just inconsistent. It doesn't work. And so and they just draw too much attention to it. Because when she had, and the line is just kind of, nauseating, but when she's like, this line, when she's like, I've seen you naked before, the guy wouldn't recognize your cheekbones, and I'm like, I don't know though, because then why do they have the masks in the first place? Like why does Tomei act like it actually? And by the way, that smile just drives me crazy. It just freaks me out.
He's gonna murder you in your sleep tonight.
Yeah, right. Well, and he's played that role too.
Yes, he has. Played that role again recently in a movie called The Voices.
But you see why I'm asking that question when Tomei's right, you wear it to protect your identity. I'm like, why not a full face mask? Why
not wear a goddamn helmet?
Yeah, precisely.
Heck, they Simon Baz, who they debuted in New 52, was like that. They actually thought ahead on that one. And then there's also like people like Jon Stewart who openly refused to have the mask.
I mean, I'm not saying you can't go with comic book logic, but
another thing about that scene that bugs me
that is one of those places where they're saying we have to be realistic about it, and I'm like, well, then don't do it that way. Anyway, go ahead.
The thing that bugs me about that scene is it feels so much like it's clever because we're trying to subvert it. No, it's kind of loud and distracting. Subtlety involves not being loud. I'm sorry.
It's also become something of a cliche in superhero movies to do that scene where, bear with me for a minute, we pretend like we're subverting the audience's expectations, where the girl actually gets to find out the secret identity before you thought she might. And we've done that so many times now that scene is now kind of a cliche, kind of a stereotypical scene.
Yeah. It's so weird when not doing a other cliche is a cliche.
Yeah, isn't that weird? And I'm not saying that we're just running out of things we can do. I'm saying that just write scenes from a character place. You don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Like is she finding out now because characters have made choices to get us to a place where it makes the most sense for her to find out now? Or is it because we've decided arbitrarily this is the time where she's gonna find out?
Because we should have that scene.
Because we need to have that scene. Yeah, exactly.
Also, can I say one more thing?
make her a strong female character and let her just discover it somehow.
Okay.
We could do that.
Can I say something kind of amusing to me? When he put the little necklace on her with his powers, that looked less awkward looking than the suit does on him.
I thought the very same thing.
But again, to be fair, it's a tiny thing that you may not barely notice, as opposed to the entire centerpiece of your goddamn movie.
Duke, I'm not sure that I've ever seen her in anything else. Is she decent in other things?
I'm trying to think what else I've seen her in. Her big claim to fame were, and I'm not kidding, she was in The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Okay.
And Gossip Girl.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but I don't remember anything about it. Because why would I? Oh, wait, that's not true. I have seen her in probably one of the 3 episodes where she hosted SNL. I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Sorry.
You know, when you've got this much more interesting character, and of course he's supposed to be your big tragic bad guy, and you do these just wasting time scenes with your hero.
I look gross, don't I, audience?
It makes you, like that protagonist even less, because you go to this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, earlier this stuff was a lot more interesting. I think it still sort of is, but now you're right. It is just sort of like now I'm super creepy but I mean, there's still a little bit of mileage they can have. This Waller stuff is kind of pointless.
Also, because we don't know anything, despite the fact that we've seen Waller a billion times, you could easily refer to this that Hammond is telling us that Amanda Waller is Batman.
That's hilarious. Yeah, because we don't do anything with her ideology, right?
I honestly forgot she was in the movie up until this point. While watching it right now.
I mean, I guess you have it kind of just subtly in the background, just the notion that like she is the head of this branch of the secret branch of government that's like kind of I guess sort of using this guy. Mm-hmm. I guess.
Also, for a brief moment, I thought Ethan Phillips was in the background. Sorry, I'm just speaking out loud.
But honestly, actually, like I don't even think there is anything that you generally have with Amanda Waller with like the whole ends justify the means thing. She'll do anything she has to for the government to win.
She'll do anything, Cap, including recruit Will Smith.
Because again, it's been a little while since I've seen this, but like we kind of just we're experimenting on this alien blood and we just messed up and this guy got some in him. I mean, like,
which the effect itself didn't look unlike. Have you ever seen James and the Giant Peach?
Yeah,
remember those?
It is
those
kind of like
bright green newt things.
Yeah,
they didn't look too much like that. Unlike that,
I forgot about the syringe thing. I guess they are sort of
using sciencey tools.
Using that guy. Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. Anyway, sorry. I'm kind of rambling right now.
Oh no, Hal got a text message.
He's getting he turned into God from Bruce Almighty, and he's getting prayers.
That would be
That's
great.
What it is. That's what it is.
Why can't we do a commentary on that movie, Cap? I'm kidding, but still.
Oh, we could. I like that movie.
I like that movie, but I feel like they would suffer from the same problem of commentating on a comedy of, that's funny. But anyway, this isn't funny. How much are they going to inject him with? That guy has like 20 syringes on him, I swear. Are you still here?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like,
oh, no, crap. I'm sorry.
I forgot that scene.
Yeah, this is the disturbing part.
Not that part.
And of course, I also can't help but compare this guy to the bad guy from Howard the Dog.
Oh my God, he totally is.
I mean, he just looks just like
Jennings. Oh my God.
I'm not Jennings. I'm something else.
Wells. 12,000 kilowatts. That's a lot
12,000 kilowatts. I don't know. That's a lot of kilowatts, man. I don't know. 12,000 kilowatts.
I don't even know if that's the line. Because why would I dedicate that to memory? But still,
1.21 gigawatts. What?
Well, he's not traveling in time. He's defeating Howard the Duck. Be realistic.
What I think is really funny about the fact that this guy looks so much like the bad guy in Howard the Duck is that he also has kind of the exact same thing. He gets possessed by an alien entity that wants to take over everything.
That's crazy. That comes in at the end in a weird oh my god.
Yeah. We're in creepy science lab place.
Now we have to do a commentary on Howard the Duck, Cap. It's the perfect successor.
Exactly.
Hey, wait. Okay, that's unrealistic. How create a flamethrower without seeing a flamethrower an hour ago?
Yeah, there should have been a flamethrower in that kid's room, obviously.
He's just I don't know, sorry. The scene's happening. I don't dislike this fight scene.
No,
it's actually how I imagine a fight scene between these power sets would work.
Also, yeah, no, that's fair.
If I remember right, I'm pretty sure Waller's gone from the rest of the movie after Hal oceaned her away. Okay,
yeah, she is.
Okay, yeah,
and I think she was supposed to be a much larger, have a much larger role, but
Angela Bassett said, "Cut me out."
I think I don't know.
Oh no, we're going back to the beginning of the movie. Cap, run!
See, I don't want to start this whole thing. Please don't make this a causality loop.
I don't remember my own jokes. I can't do this.
Hector Hammond's like, that wasn't a real magic hubcap. The magic was inside you all along.
You know what I love to imagine? That he's laughing at Ryan Reynolds' movie choices. Van Wilder, you make.
I think it's really funny that the glimpse of Amanda Waller's past that we got was just to set up the fact that he has this ability, when he easily could have just done this and said the exact same line that he said to her to Hal, where he's like, "I can see your memories."
Just in case we forgot 5 minutes ago that you can do that.
Yeah. Or you could not even do that, and we maybe don't need that exposition that you're spelling out that a real person probably wouldn't necessarily say to another person.
And also, this is him attempting to have some sort of twisted heart to heart, only to make the robot arm from Iron Man go berserk. Now, again, if this movie did what we said earlier and focus on these two, on how different yet similar they are, this would have been awesome.
Yeah, and also they go too far because
wait a minute, there are flamethrowers here, Cap. That's where Hal got the idea.
Oh, that's where he got the idea. Okay,
mystery
better hear
this movie's instantly a classic now.
They go too far in making a big deal out of these characters being connected somehow, when all you have to do is do that thematically and then have them be sort of two sides of the same coin. They don't have to know each other already. That is so contrived.
Yeah.
There's no reason that Hector Hammond has to be like interested in his girlfriend and have sort of a love triangle thing.
And we don't need any of that because he was already dating Carol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like at least in Secret Origin, he's dating, because Hammond's a big part of that story, and he dates Carol at the beginning. That's kind of a small bit of why he doesn't like Hal. That and just, it's the classic, oh, the girl always gets the jock and I'm the nerd, but still. It's still better handled than this.
Yeah.
At least I understand that motivation.
What's really weird is the first time when I saw this in the theater, I remember thinking that the Hector Hammond stuff was like really weird and out in left field, and I couldn't get a peg on him. And the more times I see this, the more he's, again, the most sympathetic character in the movie.
He's the closest it comes to at least some character.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, an adjustment you make where you know what you're expecting now, and so you're kind of, taking it a little bit more in the context of the thing you already know kind of breaks down.
Mm-hmm. And now, every time we have to have these two talk to each other, I feel like the movie goes on forever.
Hal's all terrified.
I have glasses. That's his contribution to the scene. He's the only one with glasses.
And and like once again comparing this to Thor, he's the Marcy of this movie, except she actually says things I laughed at.
I at least remember Marcy. I don't know that guy's name.
Let's call him Meow Meow.
I mean, we could call him Tim Robbins' character from Howard the Duck. Crap, Tim Robbins is in this movie. Why didn't we make that connection?
Okay, so this whole he's got something the ring saw that he didn't know he had or whatever is a thing that could maybe sort of work. You got to work really hard not to make that seem like the most sappy thing in the universe, but that that can sort of maybe work if it's a thing where he's really insecure about himself, and we see throughout the whole movie him demonstrating some kind of really endearing character traits, right? Where like we're like he's actually great, but he can't see it because of what's happened in his past, something he's blaming himself for. Like he's too hard on himself, and he's and like the only thing standing in his way is him.
Oh yeah,
and that's not really working, and I don't know what we're talking about with that, and also. The ring has its pick. As far I think the ring is gender neutral. The ring has its pick.
It'd be a really poor time for the ring to pick on that basis. But yeah,
on any person of any person on the planet, as far as I know, like it doesn't seem like it's like it's proximity specific or anything, because it has to go out of its way to go find him, and it chooses once again this really super generic guy, and the way he's going to prove the thing that the ring sees in him in the first place is by doing one thing at the end that Kilowatt could have just gone off and done his. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that like he gets over his fear or whatever. But what exactly is it the ring sees in him that he's able to? I guess she says that or in that scene that he's able to overcome his fear, and that's the thing that he can't see. I don't see that either, though.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been trying to pay attention, but Hal's head has been distracting me since this scene started.
Are you asking me to stop thinking about this movie, dude?
I'm pretty sure they stopped. They told you to say that at the opening of the film, but yeah.
Is that what they did? Okay, all right.
Also, well, I don't know.
Sorry. It's what I do, man.
I don't know if this is just me. Sinestro doesn't look as awkward looking, and I'm pretty sure that's Mark Strong in makeup. I think.
Who broke Sinestro's eyebrow?
Abin Sur. It was a long, deep struggle because he had this awesome unibrow that Abin Sur was jealous of because he has no eyebrows.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say just that they were such close friends that Abin Sur used to cut his hair. was his barber, and Abin Sur used to create a barber pole from his ring and tell people to come to his barber shop.
He was best friends with Mott the Barber from TNG.
From TNG, yeah, where it all goes back to TNG.
Why not? Also, I'm always been distracted by the weird things on this one's head. Is that supposed to be like? Is she just mad she doesn't have hair and wears those? I don't get it.
So this line, we simply cannot risk everything or losing everything on the chance that you might be right, but we are willing to do exactly the thing that caused this problem in the first place by trying to use the yellow energy, the fear energy, which is what created Parallax in the first place.
I mean, it made sense back then.
So let's not all actually use the power that's the reason we have the rings in the first place and have, what do you call it, courage or something, and be an army and risk our lives.
Hell, I think Emerald Warriors, Emerald, whatever that anthology movie was. What was it?
I didn't see
Emerald Knights does that. It doesn't do it amazingly, but it did it.
I mean, part of the reason that I have such a hard time taking this movie seriously, and appreciating the Green Lantern Corps in this is that they're run by a bunch of psychopaths, and I'm not sure the movie realizes it entirely.
This is another one of
And
those things where the people making this are pretty sure they know what they're doing, but we could see they don't. Oh my God, the Guardians made this movie.
Or is it sort of like what I gotta admit, that's a creepy image when you got like a floating syringe.
Like her floating in the air, the syringe.
Once again, then we have that
him
super
pulling a
typical
Dr.
thing.
Evil and going into a wheelchair. Which is pretty much what happens to Hector Hammond in the comics. Literally, his head is the size of a minivan, and his body is still like a human body. So I do appreciate that he's slowly being just a brain with a mouth. I don't know why. I just appreciate that. Though I did love when he strolled in, like, ha ha, I don't have a cat to pet.
This again, this whole jealousy thing could sort of work
if maybe made Hector date her.
But the big thing is
Hal just looks like he's posing for a Gap commercial.
Well, no, I mean, the girl doesn't even have to be necessarily part of it, Duke. This whole idea of you've got the will and I've got the fear, and so I get to be super powerful, but at this horrible cost. Whereas you get to
so cool.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that whole thing could work if we were just focusing on this relationship. Why do we have to have the big the big creepy smoke monster? Why do we have to have that? Why don't we just have this?
Yeah, again, we didn't need to show Parallax. See him, sure, but we didn't need him. Also, I'm now kind of confused. Other than okay, obviously he's holding her hostage to get him, but I also have this thing of because I've seen this in other bad TV and movies where someone who's turned into a horrible, hideous creature finds a beautiful woman, and for some bizarre reason, his motivation after that is to turn this beautiful woman that he only likes for that reason into the same hideous creature that he is. Yeah. Thinking she'll accept that. That's just something that I always notice in fiction, and it annoys me.
Yeah, I've never really understood why you would think that would work.
Except beautiful. That I'm going to ruin that.
Well, it's the same. It's kind of that logic, that Magneto logic in the first X-Men movie of just make everyone a mutant and then nobody can be anti-mutant. We're all mutant. The problem is it's just two of you, and she's going obviously to hate you for doing that to her in the first place.
I mean, I guess you could throw in the problem of he has mind powers. He can make her believe whatever he wants, but I don't know. Ha! I lit something on fire.
Well, I don't know that we know how far his mind powers go yet, or he hasn't like fully developed them. Like he can't control people yet, right?
At this point, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if he made a zombie come to life or some dumb crap. Oh no, Hal is outsmarting him.
To be fair, yeah, but I want to be fair because I don't think that they're inconsistent with what his power set is.
I don't.
I mean, he's got telekinesis. He can read people's minds.
I forgot how funny looking him being blown into those computer monitors looked.
But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a guy that's just totally being mind controlled. So his plight kind of is deflated and doesn't matter anymore.
Yes, and now
he is really good at screaming. That's
how he got the role, probably.
He's got such a super creepy scream.
It's so good to watch his mouth wide open, screaming. Look, Cap, it's a technical marvel in 2000. No, I'm sorry, not in 2000, whatever. This is really generic, and you see all the time now. And yet the movie acts like it's 1993, and this is amazing.
This movie is going to party like it's 1993.
The year I was born.
Oh, God.
Are you saying, oh, God, to me being born or to this scene?
No, not to your being born. Just every now and
then. Because that doesn't necessarily break my heart. I mean, I've seen what I've done to you, but still.
Just 1993. I just can't imagine being born that late.
I can. I was there.
I was there. And then I talked to people that were born in 2000, and I really can't get my mind around it.
Honestly, I'm at that state. I'm 22, and for some reason, I'm like, you were born in 2000? I remember, that fondly somehow. Good job, Carol. You're apparently doing this. So I don't know. All of a sudden, she's a computer hacker. Okay, I know she knows the access codes, but I remember being thrown off. Like, I wouldn't suspect she'd know what a computer was, let alone operate one.
Yeah, she doesn't look like she has much of a brain in her head, does she?
Hell, you know what?
Well, and
You know what
and
would
that's
have
another
made
thing
some
is that
sense if you had the glasses guy doing this.
oh, that's a good point. I mean, well, but also remember that she works the for the Air Force.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I keep forgetting that because she doesn't seem like a person
She
who
seems like
has
honestly,
that
the
career,
one time the most
that
not out of
expertise.
place she feels is in that scene at the bar
Yeah.
where you could just think she's some generic love interest, but you're supposed to buy her as this businesswoman, which you never do. Also, I want to say something because I wandered across Wikipedia. Apparently, Glasses Guy is the character, supposed to be the character I mentioned, but he's not at all like him at all in any way, shape, or form. So that's why I always think he's not that character. Sorry. I have a feeling someone was about to pose an obscure reference at you, and then I'd have to defend it in the comments later. Also, I called him Magpie earlier. I was wrong again. He's Pie Face because the
Oh
Silver
yeah.
Age was not culturally sensitive.
Well, that's better than Magpie Face.
Pie Face isn't any better when you realize in the comics he's Asian. It's a racial term. It's not. Let's just focus on this movie made in
Yeah,
2011.
yeah. I got you, man. I know what
Oh
I know
no!
what you're talking
Oh
about.
no! All these extras are showing just the same amount of emotion as Carol does. No, never mind. They're showing more concern.
Yeah. I feel like
They
that
can't
pie
run
face guy or
away.
whatever his name is. That guy strikes me as he's basically Emil Hamilton from Smallville.
He looks like him, doesn't he? Oh, he
Um,
does.
except a lot more irritating than that guy.
Yeah.
I I think, although it's been a while since I've watched that, so I don't remember.
I mean, you're gonna have to eventually keep watching
Event.
Smallville, sir. So you're gonna have to be refamiliarized with him eventually. And also, I always found it distracting that the actor who played Emil in Smallville pops up in Man of
Man.
Steel, talking
Oh,
to
I
the
thought that
character
was
playing
awesome.
Emil.
No, I love that. I love that Emil Hamilton's
Sidekick,
right
basically.
it's yeah, he's right hand guy. He's
Okay.
also Emil Hamilton.
You know what
No, I
I like
love
to
that.
imagine if
I think that's
you
awesome.
know what I like to imagine that
That's this
while they're
kid.
filming that scene, she's just like, "Oh my god, you're not playing the character right at all," but he can't say anything. And now this scene's happening.
I'm I'm just waiting for in Batman vs Superman that Jenny character to get killed and then it turns out she has a brother named Jimmy Olsen.
Might as well, because
You know,
that's
just
what
like they did
happened
in
in
Smallville,
Smallville,
where it's
right?
like that's not really Jimmy Olsen.
There's another Jimmy Olsen,
There's this
also
other Jimmy
played by
Olsen.
Aaron Ashmore. I think it would have been funnier if in that scene they didn't get Aaron Ashmore, they got Sean Ashmore to play him.
Okay, so why is Parallax having such a hard time killing Hal Jordan right now?
Because Clancy Brown's on a coffee break.
You know, Hal Jordan could have had a sidekick in this, Duke, in Carol Ferris. We could have sort of done the Iron Man thing where we take the love interest and we make her a superhero also. And you know what her name would have been? We would have combined her with Big Wheel and we would have made her Carol Ferris Wheel.
Bravo.
Carol Ferris
I
Wheel.
mean, yeah, I could be an ultra dork and say she was supposed to become Star Sapphire, but I wouldn't want to see this woman try to do that. So,
Oh, was she really?
yeah, she's Star Sapphire in the comics. I know I've
See,
gone
thank
this whole time not mentioning that. Like they mentioned in the cockpit scene her code name or whatever her pilot nickname Star Sapphire. It's
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that.
and the
Cool.
logo is also that I find it hilarious that you've now figured this out, but still, like I don't blame you because why would you care about Carol Ferris in this movie? But
Well, and Star Sapphire is not a character I've really run into that much.
Yeah. And again, not a lot of people know. Honestly, Green Lantern suffers like so many other characters where you only know like maybe one villain because they were in Super Friends. Like, can you name 10 Wonder Woman villains? Can you?
No, certainly not 10. No.
Exactly. I can't name. I can barely name you 10 Green Lantern villains because
Yeah,
that's the other
yeah.
thing is, unfortunately, a lot, even though there are probably other characters,
Well,
they can
did you
never
see
be
that
as
was the
interesting as
worst cut?
those. Like, no one
Did you
cares
see
about
that weird
Boldface.
Duke, did you see the bizarre cut from the sun to the sun?
Yes, that I just accepted it, Cap. I thought we were watching Sunshine for a moment.
No, no. Oh, Sunshine. I didn't like that movie either.
I liked that movie until the third act,
Well, that's
where it
exactly, yeah,
becomes a
that's exactly
horror
right.
movie in space. Congratulations, Hal, using things that you saw earlier in the movie to help. I'm not letting that point go after you pointed that out.
Yeah, like, there's just that's what makes it clever. You know, I mean, like there's payoffs, and then there's look, kids, we're paying things off.
I mean, I will say this. I mean, again, your point is still valid. He's only doing this because they weirdly foreshadowed them earlier. But I do like that they put just creatively that they're not just straight lines because in early Justice League they didn't like they just have John Stewart making like basic shapes and all that. I know part of that might have been like they weren't sure what they could get away with or budget or whatever, but I always found that kind of boring. And I love the fact that this superhero could just either shoot a laser beam or create a giant Viking warrior to attack something. I love that aspect of Green Lantern. I think it's fun, and they kind of do that. Also,
Still just feel like
we're just looking at a GI Joe hurling into space right now.
I still feel like if it's this easy, somebody in a core of a bazillion Green Lanterns would have come up with that.
No, I mean he it
And
has to
that
be
can't be
him,
the only
dude.
way to beat him. Also, what were these guys doing? Just like hanging out behind like Saturn or something, watching all
They were
this?
all
Like,
going home to make sure their stuff was okay.
yeah, I mean, like they just seem like a bunch of cowards to me. It's like, look, here's this whole giant army. We're gonna immediately cut back to it,
Yeah,
but but it took one guy to beat
I
that.
remember one of the like there was this giant, awesome cardboard cutout mural of all these different,
I know.
and you barely see them for a second in this.
Yeah, it's crazy. They well, it's really sad because I feel like they kind of advertised it as the movie I really wanted it to be.
Yeah,
In some places anyway. And what I think is hilarious, and I feel almost vindicated with that, is that the movie they say they're gonna make when they reboot this in the new DC franchise is called Green Lantern Corps,
yeah.
which is what I
I'm
said should have
for.
been in the
I'm just
first
sort of
place.
cautiously optimistic about the universe in general. I'll say.
Oh, that's fair. No, that's totally fair. But I think they'll learn their lesson from this anyway,
Yeah.
if that ends up happening. And yeah, we haven't talked about this much at all, which is weird because this is always my big point. I think a lot of people's point about this movie, which is just um, now again, you for all the reasons we stated earlier with interesting things you could have done with Hector Hammond and Hal Jordan and giving them a relationship, it could have been a more intimate Earth based movie for an origin. It felt like an origin that was worth it, but teasing all that stuff with the actual lanterns in space, and then this Earth stuff all being really boring. Why aren't we just making a space cop movie? Because your heart
Yeah.
really serious obviously is not really in this Earth-based stuff. We're wasting a lot of time, and we're doing a lot of really typical superhero origin stuff, and we got this love interest that is kind of nothing, and a relationship that's nothing, and this is a this is the sort of origin where you give him a ring and you put him in space, and like yes, give him a character arc, and yes, you can even give him an arc about how he thinks he's worthless and he's got to learn what his worth is, but do it and have a good while you're having a good time with space stuff.
Also, I'm gonna nitpick this scene. She's like, "Take off your mask." Why? Why do you care? You know it's him.
Because it's sticky, Duke. Because it's a fruit by the foot.
What is he? What is he gonna headbutt her? What are you concerned of? It's sticky.
Well, they might accidentally rub foreheads or whatever.
That'd be
Look, she rubbed
amazing
his
if he made
forehead on
out with her and
purpose.
somehow the mask ended up on her face. I would love that.
No, she did it because I get when she makes out with a guy, her favorite thing to do at the end is like this cute little nuzzle thing with her forehead up against his forehead. She did it right after that, so that's why the mask had to come off because it's sticky and gross.
Thank you, Cap.
Obvious.
Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't said that too.
You now know what it's like to be me.
Oh god, that whole humanity turn out to be his greatest strength thing. First of all, don't spell it out. And second of all, that's not what I really was witnessed. I don't think. I think it was a hobbled together third act where the hero wins because the script says he does, and we have some platitudes in there to try
And
to
it's
make.
all said
And
by the bad guy from Pirates of the Caribbean, so it's amazing.
I actually think it's really funny that you really don't like Arrow, and the guys responsible for that are responsible for this.
I like Flash. But again, it's probably because, standing to my rule, I like the title character on The Flash. I
I
can't stand that version of I like Oliver Queen in the comics. I can't stand Oliver Queen on that show. I'm sorry.
I still think that it's really surprising. There's Stuart Baird's title there. I think it's really surprising that they gave these guys a chance on TV after this, wasn't real successful. Now, when I say it wasn't real successful, I guess it just barely made its money back.
Yeah, just barely. And it took a few weeks too.
So like it was. I mean, it's considered a bomb, and I think kind of rightly so. But like, they at least didn't lose a lot of money on it. They lost money on advertising, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm merchandising.
Yeah, and again, the reason the animated series didn't go past its initial 26 episode run was the toys for this movie didn't do well, so they were afraid they couldn't make any money off of that show.
That's right. Yeah.
Which I'm glad they
Now let
clarified with that, because at first I thought they said the toy sales for the show sucked. They're like, it didn't have toys. What is wrong?
now let me ask you a question. Do you think that this movie might have still not done very well, even if it was great?
I don't know. I feel like this would have gotten, if it was great, word of mouth would have maybe, if anything, word of mouth would have made it a cult classic eventually.
Like, did this happen because people don't know, don't care, and or you just trepidatious about this concept because it's because it sounds kind of hokey, or is it just that just
I don't know. I'm wondering because I remember the feeling, like hearing, like seeing those reviews at the beginning of Monday starting to trickle in and hearing, oh, it may not be good. I think that kind of had the same effect it had on Fantastic Four
Fantastic
just this
Four?
last week, where I think the word of mouth, because I think if the word of mouth wasn't as strong on Fantastic Four, it would have been number one at the box office. Not by like a giant margin, but would have been. But that movie was at number two at the box office.
Yeah.
And this, I don't remember if this movie was at least number one at the box office that opening week. I don't know.
So Duke, how exactly did Sinestro manage to put that ring on without the Guardians seeing him do it?
He snuck in and whistled while doing it.
He showed them reruns of the Andy Griffith Show.
I found this new Earth program that Jordan turned me on to. You should all watch it right now.
It's very wholesome, and
Don
these
Knotts.
people have values,
What they call
unlike
comedy
you.
legend.
Yeah. Also, I never said this during the movie, but I feel the need with a thing like this to always make this point, which is don't trust a dude named Sinestro.
To be fair, that's his last name. I'm not
Yeah,
kidding. That's his last name.
But that's all they call him in this.
Well, that's all they call him in comic books in general. But his first name is Thal.
Okay, look, dude, that's fine, but that's not in the movie.
Yeah,
so
I know. I'm just saying.
I have to assume that in this movie, his name is just Sinestro.
I know everyone brings that point up about him in general, though, and I always.
Oh yeah, sure.
Also, I want everyone to give me a big pat on the back. I never complained about Deadpool once.
What do you mean complain about it?
Well, I hate Deadpool, and everyone was expecting me to make Deadpool jokes during this.
Oh, that's fair.
If anyone's curious, I don't care about that movie.
I'm personally very excited about that
Well, that's
movie.
because you don't despise him with every fiber of your being like I do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to not like him. I went from indifferent to reading some things with him in it, and not understanding why people loved him so much, to actually giving some of it a chance, and then at least appreciating why people like it. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not a fan or anything,
I went from like
but I
constantly
think that
reading
project
things
is
and being more annoyed by
fascinating.
it. So, but that's
But I
just
think the
me.
fact
I'm
that
sorry.
that project seems to be allowed to be just straight off the page and unabashedly
I'm
Deadpool,
glad people
and
are getting
who
their movie.
cares
I
if
don't
it's
know if I'm getting
accessible?
my movie.
No, no, I know that, but my point is those kinds of things, if they're successful, will help lead to more of that kind of thing, no matter what the project is.
Yeah, yeah.
So like Guardians performing is good news for you for a potential Green Lantern movie. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe unless they try to make it a carbon copy of something like Guardian. You don't want that to
I
happen. But you
want
see what
them
I'm
to pick
saying?
even more obscure 80s and 70s hit music to play that nobody
Yeah.
remembers. Don't make me think of a song right now because that's the whole
I,
point of my show. But
I thought you were gonna say they should pick more obscure characters. A lot of people, as Marvel keeps putting out more obscure characters that the general public doesn't know anything about, people keep saying, let's make a Rom movie.
well, they can't do that.
Oh, they can't.
Well, you don't know that Rom's not owned by Marvel. It never was.
I
It
don't
was
know.
owned by, I think it was Parker Brothers who still owns the rights to it. Like Rom was a case of we want you to make a comic book about our toy, and the comic book
Oh yeah,
became
okay.
so big that it went for over 80 issues, and to this day, Marvel doesn't have the rights to it. James Gunn wanted Rom to be in Guardians.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but because of the legal issues, they couldn't make that happen.
Wow.
Yes, I
Cool.
just taught Cap something, people.
Oh no, well you taught me all kinds of things about Green Lantern,
Did I?
and that's the whole. Well, a few 5 or 6 things.
Did I? Also, I'm looking at the credits now. Apparently, the catering was by the Hanna brothers.
Yeah.
That's where we are now, folks.
Doesn't sound like brothers.
I like
Cause
to believe that two brothers made all the food for this movie, especially for the recording sessions with Michael Clark Duncan. That man needed a lot of energy.
So, before we end off here, this question should probably be asked right at the end here, which is what exactly do really, at least generally, do you think went wrong here?
Just the fact that people wanted another great movie they never saw before and just saw a mess. I think that's what really scared people away. Because I think I could swear I saw people who were hoping this was gonna like be be Guardians 3 years early, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that.
Well, I'm one of those people. I was excited about a space adventure because we haven't had a lot of those lately. I mean, I think that's a lot of why people are frothing at the mouth for more Star Wars.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like it's kind of weird that we have to wait 5 more years for a centered Green Lantern movie because
Yeah.
I don't know if all this space exploration with Star Wars and another Guardians movie will help it or hurt it because I feel like now it has to live up to expectations of hopefully great things.
Well, that's a good point because then it could just look like a generic clone of now a subgenre that's kind of back and cemented again, as opposed to a thing that we've been missing for a while and wondering where it went.
Yes, and besides, that's Star Trek Three's job.
Yeah, that is Star Trek Three's job.
Because from what all I'm hearing about that movie is they want it to just be a Guardians clone.
That's what Paramount keeps saying. Yeah, it's got to be more like
And
Guardians.
they even brought on Simon Pegg, a man familiar with comedy, which I think putting him in there might give it a shot. But I'm just like, hearing we want it to be more like this almost never goes well.
Well, the thing that scares me about that is that they turned in a script and Paramount allegedly dismissed it out of hand, saying that it was too Star Trekky.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And that's scary. Anyway, I don't Green Lantern. Well, we are right at the end of the credits, so I guess this is a good time to say goodbye. Did you have anything else you wanted to throw in before we bid everyone farewell?
This actually happened. Unless something goes horribly wrong and Cap loses this audio. This happened finally. I want you all to understand I have been dreaming of this moment, and I hope that I have many moments like this in the future. I want you all to yell at him constantly if I'm not back in 2 months.
Well, isn't that wonderfully poetic, too, that we've got a movie that Eric kept saying was never going to happen?
Yes.
And then we've got this commentary that I kept saying we were going to do, and that you thought might never happen.
Yes.
You didn't believe it until you were actually here and got all the way through it.
I need to go back in time and tell Pashby it happened. And then he'll be like, you look weird. Your beard's all patchy right now, dude.
Yeah, and then he'll be like, they made a Green Arrow movie. No, I meant Green Lantern, okay?
Why does everyone live up to that Green Lantern.
Anyway, well, folks, thanks a lot for listening. We sure appreciate it. Duke, thanks for being here with me, man.
I'm so happy. Bring on Howard the Duck.
I will. You know what? Definitely going to bring you in for Howard the Duck. That'll be a good time. For us.
Because I want to bring this up real quick. Me and the Milky Juice guys, we did a bunch of Batman commentaries once, and there was a time we were going to do Batman and Robin, and halfway through, I lost my internet for an hour, and I came back. They were still doing the commentary, and the guys who were there sounded so sad. So I hope that I can, bring, because they were having fun until I was gone, apparently. I hope to bring that level of quality, the part where you're having fun, Cap, to life. I don't want you to be sad.
Well, honestly, Duke, I plan on doing the entire commentary from the moment that the Jennings guy gets possessed, just in this voice.
Oh, I want to do that too.
The entire... They were just Zorak.
Okay, fine. You can do that. I'll be Tim Robbins' character.
Brack and Zorak doing a commentary on Howard the Duck.
Hey, Howard the Duck himself would be okay, I think, with that.
I'm not animated to explode.
Well, we got a Brack reference out of him, everybody. I think that means we can end this.
Thanks again, folks. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Duke. And remember, I'm Duke.
We'll see you next time.